Today is 10 September, day 2, week 1. The update for today is that I have completed only 6 topics from Marrow and I haven't even solved a question bank today. The progress was very poor today. I don't know why. I wasted a lot of time. I had a relative come into my home and also we had a lot of things planning around. And also tomorrow I was planning that I'm going to complete the question bank of dams. That also has to be postponed because tomorrow I'll be going to a protest which our college's Resident Doctors Association are going to support the protest of West Bengal Juniors Doctors Front, who have currently put up a protest near the WBHS demanding the resignation of the WBHS registrar and the WBHS secretary and the director of medical education and a lot of other people, because we believe and the allegation is that they have been responsible for a lot of anomalies in the medical education system today, considering threat culture, considering anomalies while taking the exam, cheating and a lot of stuff. So their demand is for these people to resign, and tomorrow I'll be joining my seniors and my friends who would be going to represent our college, JNM's Residence Doctor Association, and who would be going to support WBJD, basically West Bengal Juniors Doctor Front, who are organizing this protest at Salt Lake, Karunamoi, and in front of the WBHS office tomorrow. We will be sitting in that protest for I don't know for how long time. It might be 12 hours, 16 hours. We'll see that later. But yes, for tomorrow the academics is entirely hampered from my side. And today I did something more along with the studies, because I don't know, I wasn't feeling that much concentration. This cannot go on for long. I'll have to push myself harder. But till then, just let me show you what I have done extra today. So 2 days ago, Sophie Rajarshi came up with this plan of making this song for this Abhaya protest, and they would be writing the lyrics. And since I can't write lyrics very good, I was composing the music. So this is what I have just came up with till now. There would be a background score of around like this. Along with that, there will be some more layers which would, along it will sound like. This is one layer, this is another. These are very faint layers, okay. Total it sounds like this. Okay, my speaker has clipped. Basically, a lot more work needs to be done. This is just the primary setting of it. I'll make more changes to it, and when the lyrics come in and the tunes come in and the structure of the song is made ready, more changes will happen. But this is the basic structure that I've thought of, and a lot of time actually went behind this thing. And yeah, we'll see how it goes on from tomorrow. But today was pathetic. Yesterday was also not that good. Tomorrow would also be academically wasted, but I know I am going for a good cause, so I don't feel that guilty. I know I'm going for a good cause, going for a good protest, so I'll be there in complete form. But yes, I need to work harder. I need to push myself harder, because otherwise my target are not being met. Okay, so today is the 9th of October and I don't even properly remember for how many days I haven't recorded, because in the past few days a lot of things have happened and I couldn't keep track of what I said that I'll be releasing a video at the end of September. I just couldn't record that much video to release at the end of September because a lot of study has been missing. From the day I stopped recording, my study has gone completely off. Okay, a lot of things have happened in between. So first of all, our exams were cancelled midway.
Then we went in then we went into Ghirao the principal, and the principal apparently joined in with us. So we went to Ghirao the Pro VC, and Pro VC denied that. So Pro VC got angry on the principal and reacted on the order of NMC that our principal's degrees were fake, and the principal got replaced. We got a new principal along with the practical exams, some of which were remaining, still were postponed at that point, and we participated in the mass protests which happened in front of Shastra Bhavan. Basically, what you've seen is Shastra Bhavan is the epicenter of all kind of corruption that we have seen. So to remove the corruption from that and to demand justice, and so that Shastra Bhavan acts accordingly, gives the necessary security and removes DAG, DHS, the people, and the health secretary, the people who are involved in all of these things, so such as placing Shondeep Ghosh in the principal spot that he is currently, and also signing on the order of breaking of the washroom beside which the crime happened. All had the signatures of DAG, DHS. So there are a lot of allegations on these people. So at least to suspend all of these people or to transfer them to any other post, and to demand the resignation of the CP of Kolkata, who was also accused to be primarily involved in destroying and tampering with the evidence. A lot has happened. In the meanwhile, Shondeep Ghosh has been arrested while we were in the protest, and that happened for a very long time. And in the protests, man, I can't explain. I can show you some videos, but even more than the medical students, what was more amazing was how the people came in huge numbers, huge. Every person, every common man across Kolkata, common man, common woman, every little girl to the oldest woman that I've seen. I just cannot express it. It's still giving me goosebumps sometimes. What I've seen, that is a protest, man. That is a protest. Nobody told those guys to come. It was primarily a doctor's protest, but the people of Kolkata had come in and made it a people's protest. What we had seen, I won't see that thing ever again in my life. I think it's just a one-time phenomenon. My eyes are starting to water because the things which I had seen are right in front of my eyes. I can't replicate that, man. I can't show the video of it. The people, 70, 80-year-olds are coming in, giving in whatever food they have bought. Rickshaw pullers had joined in the protest to give up their one day's daily wage to the protest. People are giving up, coming from Malda, Murshidabad, that's so far off places. From Namkhana, one old guy gave me a plastic full of apples, and he told that he came from Namkhana, brought those apples from there and gifted it to us. I went and deposited in the central food where they were collecting all the stuff and distributing it back to the people, and so much food, everything, people sent in everything from basic dal bhat to biryani, pizza, ORS, glucose, everything. People sent in everything. There was so much excess that they had to distribute the food to the poor people who were residing beside those areas, man. There was so much food. People আমার তোমার এই মাটিতে ধর্ষকদের ঠাঁই নাই, ঠাঁই নাই, ঠাঁই নাই। আমার তোমার এই বাংলায় ধর্ষকদের ঠাঁই নাই, ঠাঁই নাই, ঠাঁই নাই। আমার দিদিকে মারলো যারা সব দোষীদের বিচার চাই, বিচার চাই, বিচার চাই। এই অপরাধ করলো যারা সব দোষীদের বিচার চাই, বিচার চাই, বিচার চাই। করলো যারা সব দোষীদের বিচার চাই, বিচার চাই, বিচার চাই। এই অপরাধ হচ্ছে যারা সব দোষীদের বিচার চাই, বিচার চাই, বিচার চাই। হামলা করছে যারা সব। A 60-year-old woman waving hand fans which were homemade. People homemade those hand fans and gave it to us. And 60, 70-year-old women were waving it as we gave slogans of justice, man.
সেটিং হতে দেব না, সেটিং হতে দেব না, সেটিং হতে দেব না, সেটিং হতে দেব না। কো ব্যর্থ হবে না কো ব্যর্থ রক্তে আগুন লেগেছে রক্তে আগুন লেগেছে ধুয়ে যাবে অন্যায় ধুয়ে যাবে অন্যায় বিচার চাই 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 Justice! 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 আনবো আমরা নতুন ভোট আনবো আমরা নতুন ভোট
আমার দিদির দিব্যিতর
আনবো আমরা নতুন ভোট
আমার মাটি আমার মা ধর্ষকদের হবে না আমার মাটি আমার মা
ধর্ষকদের হবে না
আমার মাটি আমার মা
ধর্ষকদের হবে না
সূর্য সেনের এই বাংলায় দুষ্কৃতীদের ঠাই নাই
ঠাই নাই ঠাই নাই
আমার তোমার এই মাটিতে ধর্ষকদের ঠাই নাই
ঠাই নাই ঠাই নাই
আমার তোমার এই বাংলায় ধর্ষকদের ঠাই নাই
ঠাই নাই ঠাই নাই মেরুদণ্ড সোজা চাই মেরুদণ্ড সোজা চাই মেরুদণ্ড সোজা চাই
I don't think I'll see that ever again. I don't want to see that ever again. I don't want any such situation to ever arise again. But the backup which the protests, the power which the people of Kolkata gave, man, that's unparalleled. That moves me till this day. I can't even speak properly regarding the topic. It just moves me so much. So we went in for a few days. A lot of students from our college went. All of us were going to this college. In the meanwhile, the alumni association of the college was formed. They took permission from principal sir, organized a GB meeting in the LT or auditorium of our college that went on till 12 p.m. And in that meeting, all of those allegations, all of those heinous things which had been done against our juniors, our batchmates by the previous union members were heard. At that point they were the current union members. They were heard all, and that was not even all of the deal. That was just the starting part of it. That was just alumni and alumni. Nobody else was there, and a lot of things were discussed that night. But we weren't aware of that. We were just we were partially aware of that. Actually, we were not completely aware. We were partially aware of that something was happening behind the scenes. And behind the scenes, there was a shift of power that was happening. The previous union, which had done a lot of things, I'm not getting into the details of it. There were a lot of things: extortion, cheating, beating up, assault, battery. There were accusation of sexual harassments also. And there are a lot of things. Right now they have spiraled out in the FIRs and court cases, and a lot of things have happened. But a lot of things have happened. In the meantime, the alumni week was done, and the protests and an RDA was also formed, the Residence Doctor Association, by the PGTs of our college. That was also required to decentralize the power from the students' union, which had played a massive corrupt role in the years previous to this day. In the 2, 3 years, 4 years previous to this day, they had played a massive role. In fact, I was also harassed a lot. I don't bring that up on social media because, come on, at that point it really didn't do much. They had so much of power that the anti-ragging letters which were written against them came to their own hands, and they again ragged the junior who wrote them letters. So it really didn't do much. The police was in their hand, the administration was in their hand. Literally nobody had any power. Even people from the anti-ragging were complaining that the people from anti-ragging didn't have any powers. People from departments were complaining that their HODs were under pressure to fail students. They were under pressure to pass the students who were told by the externals that this student has to be failed, he does not know anything. But just because he was a union member, there was pressure from above, there was pressure from the administration, there was pressure from the principal, who was rather removed later. And the principal whom I was telling you, who had fake degree and was removed, that principal exerted pressure on these HODs and all to change those marks, and a lot was, and because of all these allegations, the second alumni meet was called. And that night was devastating. The accusations which came up, the horror stories which were narrated, that was like the entire auditorium was filled up. There were so many students. There were so many students. The alumni were, I think, 4 or 5 people who came to listen to, like the people who were organizing the meeting. There were other batches who had also came, people from house staff ships and above who came. But there were a lot of accusations. Like I think the entire auditorium cried almost 4 to 5 times. The stories were so horrifying. The students who faced them, our juniors, our batch, but some of our seniors also faced that. The stories were really horrifying. Like there were stories where people from poor homes who do not earn much, who probably don't even have parents, they studied their entirety of the life on scholarship money, which is not very much of it. In West Bengal, scholarship money is okay, but it barely suffices your food needs. Okay, it barely suffices your food needs. So other than that, you really don't get that much scholarship. So people use the scholarship money to eat for themselves just because they couldn't pay for the fare. They were beaten up mercilessly, and a lot has happened actually. And that day everybody cried. So formal primary complaint was probably made to the principal's office by the alumni against the then students union members, and then the students finally decided. They worked through back channels, they worked through internal networking, and they gathered all those victims, and then they started a massive protest. They hit out the principal office. They told the principal that you have to take a decision on this topic, and the names came up, the accusations came up. It was, I think, 80 allegations which came up against those union members, and 40 of those union members were suspended from the college for 6 months, from college campus, from hospital campus, everything. From every activity related to the hospital, they were banned from the college, and they were instructed to vacate the hostel within 6 days or something. So not on that notice, the 6 days notice came later. On that notice, it was said that they had to vacate the hostel by that night 8 p.m., which was a bit harsh. I think you should give them some time. But yeah, that was the notice, that they had to vacate hostel immediately. And that was a small win, but that was just the start. That was just the tip of the iceberg. No, I think it was not 80 complaints, it was 40 complaints. No, it was 80 complaints. Yeah, a friend of mine was in the anti-ragging. That was 80 complaints. And the funny part was that the people who were in the students' union still kept on defending that they were being falsely accused. They were being falsely accused. They weren't allowed to say anything. They were allowed to give a say. But a friend of mine was in the anti-ragging committee because, yeah, you have to take students from every year. So he told me that he was present in the meeting in the online. People were allowed to say that they just couldn't say anything. They say bullshit things like, I don't know, sir, how this message went from my phone. You know what the message was? The message was, if you do not pay up with this within this day, then we will do these things to you. This was their message, and now they are saying that they do not know how this happened. They have no idea how this thing happened. That doesn't really make sense, right? And they were suspended from the college for 6 months. Right now, as of now, a detailed order might come later according to how the punishment will be graded. Because honestly, I think 2 or 3 of the students whom I know didn't do that much crime. They have just got collateral damage. They were in the union, I'm not denying that, but they had really done much less of a damage. They probably abused 1 or 2 students 1 or 2 times in their entire lifetime, but they were in the union. So I think they should be given a bit less of a sentence, because the rest of the people have really done a lot. So they deserve some sentence in some form. They deserve some punishment in some form. But there are also some people who are not that very much into the crime. So I think they should be left off with a warning or a reduced sentence of some sorts. But whatever, even in that night when they were suspended, they were howling in the roof that they had done nothing. They were being completely accused. This is a lobby thing. And they were absolutely not even trying to get into the fact that they had done something. There was no recognition of guilt in them. And then started the anti-ragging proceedings. In the anti-ragging proceedings, students were told to submit all of their accusations. You know how many accusations that turned out to be? That turned out to be 800 accusations. That file was this big, against 40 people. This big, 800 accusations against 40 people. Can you imagine? My own accusation was around 13 to 19 pages. Just imagine. Now imagine 800 accusations with that breadth. People have printed these thick copies of the threats that they have received. They screenshotted every message, made a picture of it, and combined this big file on everybody's name, and they are telling that they have not done anything. There's so many proofs again, and once they have seen the proofs, Now they are like, no, our career is going to be destroyed. How can you do this thing? How can you do this to us? Bro, 2 days ago you were saying that you haven't even done these things. Now since we are pointing this out to you, then you are like, no, how our careers would be destroyed. Even before that, they were threatening that we will do court case on you guys. You are putting false allegations on us. They were threatening these things, and now they are suddenly. After that, a lot of things happened. Now the end proceedings are still on the way. The judgment will probably come after Durga Puja. Right now, it's I think Shoshti of Durga Puja. Today is 10th of October, right? Today is Shoshti of Durga Puja. A lot had happened. Okay, so in the meanwhile, since the union had been dissolved, the Students' Welfare Committee then renamed themselves for some time, so that they knew the Students' Union was falling, so they renamed themselves as Students' Welfare Committee, and they were continuing with the proceedings as if nobody would notice anything. Even in that, they used the principal's name without his permission. The previous principal was in agreement with the Welfare Committee because he was corrupt and he was removed from the principal's post. That I told you, because of wrong degree and all. That dude had consented. The new principal who came, Dr. Munirip sir, he did not consent to it. He's a genuinely good person. And they used his name. And the principal office issued a notice against them also. That why is my name on the notice? Please explain to me. And even in response to that, these things happened before the anti-ragging proceedings. Okay, they were saying that don't worry, bro. We will tell you. We will give explanation within one day. We'll give explanation one day. Don't jump around like this. Okay, and within one day the anti-ragging notices came and the proofs came in. Suddenly stumped out. And then everybody started tagging them back. Bro, you said you will give explanation within one day. What happened? You said you will give explanation within one day. And it was complete mayhem. And then what thing came to everybody's mind was that the fest did not happen. So if the fest did not happen, why are we getting the money back? And then started the entire thing. We want our refund back. Hamader refund chai. We want our money back. And the Students' Union was pressurized so much that they heeded to give 57% of the money. Why 57? Because they are saying that they have invested 43% of the money with the event house, and the event house says that it's non-refundable and they won't pay back the money. So they had some 10 lakh rupees in cash which they had deposited with the principal's office. The principal office kept around 9,50,000 rupees. They deposited with the police, and 50,000 was with the president of the Students' Union that time. Not the president of the Chiasma organizing committee, who was actually going to be the Students' Union president in 1 year, or rather 6 months, or actually during the fest only. But it is what it is. I'll just not get into the technicalities of it. So now people were demanding that we want our money back. So now getting this money back is a very difficult thing because we are angry. We want our entire money back. They are saying that they will give only 57%. Because they have invested the rest of the 43%. Now there is story with this rest of the 43% also. Why should we believe that you have invested the rest of the money? There is literally no proof. The receipt that they have given is just a bullshit PDF which even I can edit it better than that to make it look more real. You are saying that there has been a transaction of 7 to 8 lakh rupees in cash in a single setting, which first of all is illegal, and there is no GST transaction number, there is no GST deducted on it. That's by IT fraud, ED fraud, that's everything. You are getting into trouble. Okay, still that. But have you signed anywhere that it's non-refundable? No, they haven't signed anywhere that it's non-refundable. And they're saying that they've invested the money. They're saying that they will not return it. Is it logical in any way? You have not signed non-refundable in. The transaction has happened in cash. Already it looks shady. Why should I believe that you haven't received the money? Where is the proof that you haven't received the money? Where is the proof that you have received? Where is the proof that you have received the money? It might be that the Students' Union is completely like, you have done some behind the door handshakes and they were like, okay, we'll keep out of the 7 lakh, we'll keep 3 lakh and you keep 3 lakh. There is no proof that the transaction has happened. So if you say that you have received the money, you have to return the money back to us. Because I did a phone call with those guys and they said that they have received the money. They said that the bill is true. They said that they have not signed non-refundable on it. The guy is in complete mess right now. So I hope that we will get the rest of the money back, but right now we are talking about the 53% which the Students' Union has in cash and they want to return it back. Now, there is also a question again, why are they keeping this much amount of cash? It's very illogical. But on the other side, 9,50,000 rupees which I told was submitted to the principal office and they sent it to the police station. That was also under a problem because if you keep it there for too long, then suddenly it becomes unclaimed property and it's moved to the state treasury. We can't let loose of that. So we had to find out a solution very fast. So I kind of took the onus on me, and then we decided that we'll organize it in a proper form, that so that those guys who come to give the money, the Students' Union member, all of us are angry on them. So they do not get beaten up. We get the money they can distribute the money, they can live in peace, we can live in peace with the 53%. We'll discuss about the 43% later. So yeah, I coordinated a lot of it, and it apparently went very smoothly. We have, all of us have got 53% of the money back. So yeah, the rest remains to be seen. But after that, I returned to my home, and man, I got so sick. I got extremely sick. I am completely down with fever and cough and sneezing for the last few days. But again, I have to study. Meanwhile, we did clinical posting coordinator elections. So there we decided 2 people from each group of 32 students to represent them so that they can organize classes better. I think they should be how CS should be. They should be concerned only with classes. Why are you involving yourself with the rest of the things? Chiasma committee should be recruited like elsewhere. Chiasma committee should be recruited from students, not from the students' union. Why should they be in administrative post? It's a cultural committee of the, like, it's a cultural thing of the entire college. Only a few students should not be responsible for it, who are responsible for everything. And what I realized that there should be decentralization of power, because if there isn't decentralization of power, what will happen is the same thing which will repeat itself again. The same thing, problems will arise. The reason why entire this problem arose was that the alumni was represented by the same person who represented the RDA, who represented the students union, who represents kind of the teachers union also, because he had very good connections with some of the teachers who used to do this thing of failing students, passing students, honor students, who used to do these things. So all of these things need to be independent, and this dude also used to control the Chiasma fest, and that is where the problem started. So let's see, I hope the things would get better with every passing day. But the problem was that once this clinical posting coordinator elections happened, I was chosen, and I had to do a lot of discussions with deans regarding this fest money, regarding this class postings and all, regarding, recently made a roster also so that we could compress the clinical postings to finish before the 9th sem, which would be our final semester before the MB, so that we can give a final semester with complete preparation of all of the subjects. Otherwise, we had lost around 2 months in the Abhaya protests and all. We had lost further time doing this our fest things and all. And as it is, the clinical posting roster which was initially made was ending after the 9th sem, which means that some like all of the batches would give the 9th sem with some amount of less preparation of each subject. So that wasn't right. So we compressed the 9th semester. We made a new schedule. We held a batch meeting which was entirely filled with chaos. Then we found out solutions to that, and then we finally submitted a improved routine, improved schedule, which included all of those points, that like a group missed the surgery postings because they did not do surgery classes properly, because the professors were very of laxative attitude that time, because nobody was there to pressurize them. Now since the union has fallen, and since now there is nobody to protect the surgery professor, now they have started to take class. But group D students who had actually had the time of the surgery class at the start of the year have not got the classes. So now they're demanding that we need to also be compensated for our lost classes. Now how do we pressurize surgery department regarding that? There are a lot of discussions which happened so that our academics actually resumes finally. And in the midst of all this, since I am also dealing with all these things, the dean office, the academics, how to make the roster, and my own academics has been compromised. Along with that, my health is also not giving me a supporting role. So yeah, so here I am, not being able to study shit nothing, and my semester exams are on 22nd, 23rd and 24th if I'm not wrong. So right now it's 9th, so I have how many days at hand? It's 12 days I think. It's around 12 days which I have at hand, and my plan is that I'll study UMAT. UMAT is remaining, I have done a few topics. It's around 11 topics I'm going to do today. It's going to remain more 8 topics for tomorrow. So by tomorrow, by 10th, I'll finish the UMAT topics. The endocrine medicine is there in the syllabus, but I'll not be doing it. I'll rather be focusing more on the pediatrics and obstetrics and gynecology, covering the syllabus back, the practical session, so that I can give this practical exam with complete preparation, so that I'm complete in obstetrics and complete in pediatrics. So let's see how it goes. For the timing today, my target is to finish around 11 topics of SLE, systemic sclerosis, IgG4 diseases, Sjogren and Aplar syndrome, and sarcoidosis. So these are my topics for the day. Let's hope I get back into the groove, and I'll release the video of this 2 months at once. Okay, so that means you can also see how I give my semester examinations. That would also be an interesting thing to see. So okay, let's start the day. Already it's 2:05 p.m. So It's going to be difficult, but at least it's starting better late than never.
So today is 21st October. From the last day I recorded the video, a lot of things have happened, but the current status is not very good. So just to recap, I told I'll complete the rheumatology module from Mado Medicine. That has been almost completed. I have completed all of the videos except one, the last remaining video, which was on gout and other related diseases. That was the video. The respiratory medicine class of DAMS got cancelled midway because sudden an emergency, and Sir had to go back to his hometown. So it was a very short class, 2 or 3 hour class, as a result of which I got the Sunday entirely free to myself, because of which I could actually complete most of the rheumat module. Otherwise that wasn't also even complete. I was really going very slow. I think after that the semesters were also announced, and I started reading pediatrics and obstetrics, and the pediatrics preparation has not been very good from what I understand of myself. I've just completed 5 or 6 modules from the end, but the entire syllabus remains a bit debatable. I've completed a few practical modules like the examination of the liver, the examination of the GIT. I've also made PDFs regarding this. I've basically completed the examination part. The practical part I've covered, but a theoretical part of me still remains very deficient. I need to cover that up. I've looked to it, but mainly the pediatrics preparation has not been very good. Talking about the obstetric preparation, which is basically I'm going to have the ObGy practical examination tomorrow morning from 8:45 p.m. Right now I think it's around 11:30 p.m. if I'm not wrong. Yeah, I'll wake up at 3:30 p.m. But as of now what I've completed is basically I've completed around 20 to 30% of the syllabus. Around 70% is still remaining. I have a lot to cover. I have completed specimens by now partially. Also ectopic pregnancy, a lot remains left. Tomorrow I'll wake up at 3:30 a.m. in the morning. I'll start studying from 4 a.m. and I'll study till 8:30 a.m. maybe. So it's 4.5 to 4 hours of time which I'll have, and I'll study instruments. I've already studied though. I'll look at the examination. Most of the examination I've already seen, but I'll just have to revise a bit. I'll look at the theory parts of premature rupture of membrane and other ectopic pregnancy, fibroid of the uterus. I have these few topics to look through, and also there are a few more topics. I can't remember them right now, but I have to also look at the labor care guide. I didn't look at it. It's so important. I have studied partograph, CTG, all of these things, but these are still remaining. And also I still have a lot to do. I have a lot at work because today in the afternoon I came, and that's also because yesterday I had a DAMS class which was on endocrine, and that class was fabulous, man. Sir taught really well. And today I actually had the GIT class. Now for the GIT class I was really feeling very sleepy because the class of endocrine ended at 10 p.m. in the night. Like sir was teaching from 10:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. I went to home, it was 11 p.m. and by the time I was about to sleep it was 12 p.m. and the next day morning class was at 8 a.m. for which I had to get out of my home at 7 p.m. The next day morning class was at 8 a.m. for which I had to get up from the home at 7 a.m. for which I have to get up from my sleep at around 5:30 a.m. If I get to sleep for only 5.5 hours, how am I supposed to understand the class which is going to go on for the next 12 hours? It's practically absolutely impossible. And I also had to come today and study something, and I did also. I came today and studied. So what I ended up doing was that from 12:30 p.m. I had a race to watch the US Austin Grand Prix. So I watched that race because anyways I didn't have 8 hours sleep for a very long time. So because for the last 4 to 5 days I was just not sleeping that much. It was 6 hours, 7 hours. So that night, so yesterday night I just decided that tomorrow GIT class I'm not gonna do, because endocrine is in our this semester medicine syllabus, but GIT is not. So GIT I can read from Mado. Endocrine I have some basics. I can clear the practical examinations, I believe. And for now I watched the US Grand Prix and I was a bit disappointed, man. Lewis Hamilton started from P18. He recovered till P12 in one lap, man. 6 positions gained in one lap. And in one particular corner, the Mercedes car is so bad. George Russell faltered in that same corner in practice. In qualifying, Lewis Hamilton faltered in the same corner in practice and also in the race. Dude went from P18 to P12 in one lap, and then went from P18 to destroying his car in another lap because the car was very oversteered and all. It was just not cutting through the corner. You just go over the curb and the car just completely spins out. So yeah, but luckily George Russell went from the pit lane to P6, which was very interesting. But what is more interesting what is more fulfilling is that I actually got an 8 hour sleep after watching the race. Yeah, and also Max Verstappen and the rivalry between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris was really beautiful to watch. Lando Norris has to gain points on Max Verstappen if he has to win the World Driver Championship. He's currently second placed and around a 50 points difference. And Lando Norris, after a lot of effort, really overtook Max Verstappen, which took a very lot of effort. Okay, it took a lot of effort, overtook Max Verstappen, but Lando Norris got a 5-second penalty, as a result of which again Verstappen overtook Lando Norris on the positions table at the end of the race. So actually the gap which Lando Norris had to close down has actually widened right now, so it remains to be seen what happens later. Also in this weekend, Hustle edition 4 has started, which I couldn't hear the next episode of the second episode of it basically, and I wish I could hear it right now, but I have exams right now, so after the semesters end up I'll listen to Hustle 04. So yeah, here we are right now. It's 11:30. I'll wake up at 3:30 am. I'll study from 3:30 am to 8:30 am, which is 5 hours. It seems like it's not. It's going to be around 4 to 4:30 4.5 hours. So let's see. And I'll keep you updated on how my exam also goes. These 2 months have been just a disaster. I need to improve myself. I know I need to improve myself, but here it is what it is. Also, as I was saying, that today I entered the hostel today and my room is in a very bad state. I really need to clear my room. I really need to get my room clean, and that really hurts the mental state actually. So yeah, I have to just wait for 3 more days. I'll just complete the exams and then I'll go on to cleaning the room, because this is really affecting my mental state. So yeah, let's see. It's currently 3:47 am in the morning, and the topics which I have remaining to be covered are respectively fibroid, ectopic pregnancy, which I had started and is part of the specimens. Both of these would be actually fibroid and ectopic, both would be coming as specimens. I need to cover that. After that is covered, the specimens would be over. Placenta, which is also in specimen. PROM, which is going to come as a long case, so I have to read it from ObGy, which is the practical book of long cases and also theoretical portions. Labor manifest steps, because that would be asked, that will be a separate station. Partograph I have read. Labor care guide, yeah, that is going to be a PDF which I have to read. Drugs, I don't know where I'll read from that, we'll see that to it later. Contraceptives and drugs I've read, probably I will have to read that once more. Contraceptives, there is a matter module regarding that. Specimen I have written, but specimen will be covered in when I complete fibroid, ectopic pregnancy and placenta. Short cases, I don't know what short cases are going to come. Let's see, let's hope for the best. So this is where I stand currently. It's 3:48 by the time I'm making this video. So yeah, let's hope for the best. It's 8:30 am in the morning. I've completed a lot of the topics that I've wanted to, but still a lot of topics are still remaining. It's okay, let's go to the exam. Let's see. I put in a lot of effort for this one, but okay, we'll see what happens. But yeah, the syllabus is still not complete. I have still remaining to read the breach presentation. I did half of it, and I have also to read the drugs part. I have also to read the labor part, the stages of labor and things, because those are asked. I have to read the diameters of the skull part. Okay, a lot of things are remaining. Let's see. The exam will start very soon at 8:45. Still have to take my breakfast. So let's go. So it's 22nd October, same date, 8:18 in the night. So I'll just describe what happened the entire day today. So I completed what I could of obstetrics and gynecology. Went in for the exam, had a long case which was assigned to me was pure period, basically the time after delivery to up to 6 weeks following delivery. We took the long case. The patient was not really very cooperative with us. We had to really make up a lot of things because we do not have time always to just look at everything, every nook and crook. And also we forgot a lot of things. After I came out of the exam hall, I realized that I completely forgot to take a particular history. We completely forgot to take out the labor history. Basically, how long did the stages of labor happen? It was very non-complicated. But that the patient told that her entire labor was very non-complicated. Talking about the very history of the case, the patient was very non-cooperative. So talking about the patient, she's a 16-year-old female.
who obviously has a child, and that's why we are taking the pure perineum case right now. She has delivered 2 days ago, and it was a completely non-complicated pregnancy. She has no other clinical symptoms, no nausea, vomiting as such, no edema as such, no nothing. She has nothing basically, no fever, nothing. She's absolutely non-complicated case. She has just come to the hospital for safe confinement and all. But there is a problem. You can't just write safe confinement. Professors sometimes get angry about, with respect to that. So we have to kind of make out features from places where there aren't any. So she said that she had some bit of edema at the end of the third trimester. So we told that yes, she has edema which subsides on rest. That is her complaint. Bilateral pedal edema she has. We didn't write edema. It was diffused leg swelling. And we made that into a case, and we wrote according to that, and decrease following delivery of the fetus. Problem is that the patient is 16 years old. She has a child, first of all, right? And second of all, she's married. She has married at the. We have to take marital history also. Okay, so she has a child right now, and she's aged 16 years, and she has married at 18 years of age. So basically, what a patient has done is she had invented a time machine. She had gone into the future. She had married, had a kid, came back into the present, and now she has delivered the child and is right now in front of us. So that's the kind of a case. She has married at 18, but she is right now 16 years old, and she really can't say much. We are asking what medicines did you take, from when did you take those medicines. She is really can't really say much about the things, which was very frustrating at a point. In fact, with me, the roll number who was paired was basically the first roll number of our group, like the person who has to go first in for the Viva, 65 roll number. So he was getting completely frustrated because the first name whose longest is going to be checked is his roll number, and man, that's very frustrating. Well, however, we took the case. We went in for the Viva. So the two guys who went in front of me, who went for the Viva, they were asked all easy questions. What is labor? What is pure perineum? How do you define that? What are the problems which happen over the complications? Basically, the things which I read the previous night, as I've shown you. And those were the things which are almost ready to me. But I didn't go into the deep complications of it. Okay, like valval hematomy is a complication, but I didn't read about it. Now, my Viva starts with what is pure perineum. So I say, I define it, and sir says okay. Now slowly gives me a case which I have heard for the first time in my life, and that was of valval hematoma. And I did not know that because I didn't read it. It's in front in the book. I just never expected sir to go that deep because I was running low on time, so I had to just skim through the topics as fast as I could. So I thought that was a very rare topic to be told about, but sir decided on it, and started asking me about how do you differentiate between valval hematoma, which is above the levator muscle, and which is below the levator muscle. How do you differentiate all of that? And I could differentiate none of them. And sir is saying, how do you differentiate the clinically? I was saying, sir, USG we'll do that, do this thing. Sir was not happy, and that Viva went pretty bad for me. The thing is, I prepared so much. You asked the two guys in front of me easy questions, and they'd come on and they're telling me the questions that they were asked, and those are pretty easy. And dude starts off with valval hematoma with me, which was what do I say? Sometimes all of the things which you read of are not of great value. But then we had the OSPI tables. Basically, I don't know why they call it OSCE, but it's actually OSPI. It's Objective Structured Practical Examination. OSPI. That is supposed to be seen and written. What they talk about as OSPI is actually OSCE, Objective Structured Clinical Examination. We have to show the clinical skill, the Leopold monographs, the grip, there to show that. That's a different thing altogether, but I don't know why they mix that thing up. Whatever. But we went in for OSPI. There was a Wrigley's forceps which I could identify from way back. We had to light the uses and something, the prerequisites of it. I wrote that. There was a specimen of hydatiform mole. I studied it the previous night. Obviously, I told you. I wrote that. And at that point, I was feeling very lucky, man, because see, when you study things at a very fast pace and those comes in the syllabus and you write that, you feel good. Okay, that's plain and simple about that. And after that, we had a station on cafeteria approach of contraceptive use. And this cafeteria approach of contraceptive was in ObGy. And I told before going to the exam, I didn't read contraceptive. I had left that thing out. And but the cafeteria approach was taught to us in community medicine the previous year, so I could approach the question and I could write what cafeteria approach was, why it was important for people. The only problem was the question was, when was it first used, and why should I know it as a doctor, and first of all, how do I know it? So I left that question. After that, we went in for the one thing has happened is basically when I was opening the tripod of this camera, this thing pinched on my fingernail, and right now it's very reddish, and it's reddish over here also, basically blood. blood clots have formed over here. I can actually feel the pain right now. I can't, if I do it like this only, no, if I bend my fingers, it's already hurting a bit, and there's a bit of anesthesia over here, so I can, it's not anesthesia, it's paresthesia actually. Yeah, so whatever. Where was I? Yeah, so after that we went in for the other viva, which was basically short case we didn't have. We went in for the specimen viva, went for the instrument viva, radiology viva. We were not told that we were going to have radiology, but however, we went in for the radiology. Radiology, I was expecting USG scans. Okay, USG I had studied because I know. But interestingly, they gave us hysterosalpingography images. You didn't teach us that. Okay, and I didn't read gynae. And the quest, and also it was a drugs viva, instrument viva, all vivas at the same time, partograph viva. They didn't ask partograph. Okay, they took out a modified who partograph and told what's the difference between this one and the current thing. I know it, but it's just that I flipped off for a second. I was late for a second and search shifted to the next person, whatever. Then he asked about the different drugs and dinoprostone gel. I knew it was used for cervical ripening, whatever. And there were other OCPs also. Sir asked a non-contraceptive use of OCP, and I really did not know that because I haven't studied contraceptives, as I told you. So a lot of things were coming outside my preparation zone. In the instruments, I was lucky to have a green armitage forceps. I saw it and I identified it. There was a multiple tooth wall cell. I saw it and I identified it. It was very fast. But I forgot the use of green armitage forceps. And I read that just before the previous. I just seen I did the instruments thing, but I forgot it at the moment. So what can I do about that? I left it. And then the specimen came. The specimen was of a uterine polyp. Now the problem is I had read fibroid, I had not read polyp. Now as the viva was going on, I realized that sir was asking what is the management of polyp. I don't know what's the management of polyp, but it's almost the same as the management of fibroid, as what I understood from today's viva. I haven't read it still now because I haven't read gynecology. I had read fibroid from gynecology only. I knew only management of that. So that was a big problem for me, and sir was keep on asking me questions regarding that polyp, and I couldn't answer any of them. So at the end of the viva, sir was like, "Man, you need to study. You're not studying. You're doing this protivad and stuff. Protivad means basically movement, revolution, and stuff, and you're not studying." And that's true. I have to study more, but yes, it wasn't very good today. But still, things which I studied some came in the exam, some I forgot. But I believe that the part of the syllabus which I have covered is going to help me in some way or the other. Okay, this is my current standard. It went not as good as I wanted it to be, but it is not as bad as it should have been had I not pushed the previous night and also from today 3:30 in the morning. So that I think really played a role. That has really helped me. Okay, hard work pays off. That is what I've realized. Okay, so tomorrow is medicine, and medicine my preparation is pretty poor. Okay, so I've selected that I will answer only a few particular topics. Okay, these are the topics which I've decided. I'll first start with ECG PDF which has been sent by my friend. I'll first wait. Let me just decrease the height. So first I'll start reading from ECG, and then I'll go on to read X-ray, and then I'll go to read CT scan, then I'll read instrument, then I'll read long case and problem card, which is 96-page PDF, but it will not be 96 pages, 96 page combining all of the subjects. Then we'll go in for general examination, which I know most of it. I'm just looking at for double confirmation, and respo theory just for if there is something related to practical, so that I can answer at least something. So this is my current plan, but the only problem is it's 8:28 right now. I do not really have much time to study because I will sleep early tonight. Okay, I do not want the same thing to happen. I will sleep by 10 p.m. tonight, and I'll wake up at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. And the exam is from 10 a.m. So I'll get around 4 hours to study, and I'll get 1 hour to study tonight. So it's around 5 hours of study. It's okay, man. Medicine is not really asking that bad questions, so I hope it works. Okay, so it's 23rd October, 5:30 p.m. I have given my examination of medicine. I have came back, had my lunch, did a bit of planning. So today is 23rd October, 5:30 p.m. and this is to just report to you about how my medicine examination went. So we went in the morning. See, the things I promised that I would be finishing this. I didn't finish all of those because I was actually a bit tired. I needed 8 hours sleep because today I am going to probably try to pull off an all-nighter. It's not going to be an all-nighter, but I will sleep for only I think 2 to 3 hours tonight because today pediatric syllabus is a lot, and they have taught us pediatrics. Okay, medicine we weren't taught. We have our clinical posting starting from 1 week after the next week, but pediatrics postings have happened in our batch. So I need to do that in a proper way. I need to give the exam in a proper way, basically. So I slept for 8 hours this 2 days night. Okay, and as a result of that, I couldn't finish a lot of the syllabus. Okay, so I had only finished ECG and I had looked up only CT head, nothing else. Okay, after that I went to examination. So in the examination I was expecting that I would be really railed up. So, and I believe that cases were assigned randomly, but that was not happening. We could really kind of choose our cases. So I gave two options. I could attempt respiratory cases, or I could attempt CNS cases. Okay, CNS in the sense ischemic stroke or any kind of stroke. You don't know what kind of stroke unless you're assigned to. Any kind of stroke, CVA cases I could handle. Any kind of respo cases I could handle. Why could I handle? Because I have read CNS and respiratory in third year. So from that I might be able to approach a case, but not for any other case. For GI case, for diarrhea, I have literally no idea how to approach those cases. But CNS, I have an idea. I haven't studied that as such. But if I get the time to, I believe that I could study it out. Okay, I believe that I could approach the case. So okay, I took a CNS case. I took a case of stroke. Initially, only I was assigned to a case, and I felt okayish about it, because the thing is. In medicine examination, you could really look up the practical examination which you had to do. You can just look up the theory part, and you can then do. Our professors aren't present while we are taking the history, so we have an option of looking it up in the mobile or something like that. The only problem is that in the medicine ward, the internet connection absolutely does not work. However, we took the history of the patient properly. The patient had a loss of speech and paralysis since 2 days. So then we followed it up. Did you have previous history of stroke or something? Did she have any family history of stroke? Any family history of thrombolytic MI or anything? Any cardiac history? And in cardiac history, the patient told something that they had some kind of heart defect which the patient's family knew about. And so I looked for what was the examination, and I could hear a pansystolic murmur. I believe it was grade 3, but I wasn't properly confident of it because I couldn't properly hear the heart sounds only. The S1, S2 were almost barely audible. Like now I couldn't realize whether it was me not being able to hear it, or was it that S1, S2 were really soft and the pansystolic murmur was really present. I could hear it. And it's not like I am hearing it, so it's true. It's not a very clear murmur. I have heard much clearer murmurs in pediatrics, but this was a very soft murmur. Like you have to really hear properly, because S1, S2 itself is not properly audible. So, however, I wrote S1, S2 as soft S1, S2, soft S1, soft S2, and a pansystolic murmur. I wrote about it, but I wasn't completely sure about it. The thing I was trying to do was to divert the entire viva around it. Okay, like I'll write a CVS finding, and some time will go in. I'll come to this. By the time I come to the CNS finding, the ma'am who was asking us really doesn't have much to ask us. So much time to ask us actually. So the fact that I am really deficient in all of the systems wouldn't become very clear. Now also in respiratory, I could clearly hear inspiratory and expiratory both had wheeze. Okay. Basically what I believe was that due to her stroke, what happened was, it was a female patient, okay, 85-year-old female patient who had also previous history of hypertension, by the way. And I asked the patients, they said that the patient sometimes forgets to take medicines, because at the end of the month when they check, they have found that the packet for which they had bought the medicines for, say, for 30 days, that didn't end on 30 days. That sometime went on to 35 days, 36 days, from which they understood that she was clearly missing a few tablets, because she was forgetting it. 85-year-olds, man, you can't expect everybody to remember everything. So I was suspecting maybe there's a hemorrhagic stroke, but how do I different a hemorrhagic stroke from ischemic stroke? Purely based on clinical criteria. You really can't do like that. You really can't differentiate like that. But it's a hemorrhagic stroke is rather much faster. It happens very fast in onset, and ischemic stroke is much slower. But the problem is our patient got to know about the stroke only after waking up from sleep. So again, we have no idea of what to do, because it's 8 hours of sleep. The stroke could have happened anytime, you never know. And also the respiratory rate was fast, which again goes that the patient has obviously some kind of respiratory problems, some kind of hypoxia, as a result of which she has increased respiratory drive. And we didn't look for one thing, that whether her accessory muscles were being active, because again she's a female, we can't just expose her chest and look for it, whatever. So I could hear the respiratory wheeze, that was very clear. Now what I wanted was that I had studied respiratory previously. As I told, I was okay for a respiratory case, and I had studied CVS again in third year, CNS again in third year. So my medicine, the 30% of medicine which I have prepared right now, that is basically third year knowledge. I had to revise that, but I didn't get time to. It's okay, but I didn't get time to. So I prepared the case almost properly. I wrote the history properly. I did the examinations properly. Most of the examinations were done. Most of it, and some of it cannot be done because the patient is completely unconscious. I am not getting a single sensation out of pain even. Leave alone the touch sensation, vibration sensation. How do I even check that? The patient is completely unconscious. She is not responding to anything. Only thing I can check for is reflexes, and reflexes were positive. I could see that the Babinski reflexes was plus. The biceps tendon jerk was plus. That is the biceps tendon jerk, the best biceps. That is the best biceps tendon jerk I've seen in my life. That is the best one I've seen. I'm just putting in the hammer. I'm just putting in the hammer, and she's like, I'm just putting in the hammer like this and hitting the stretch. I didn't take the what do we call that? I didn't take the medical hammer and things. So I just put my hand over there on the biceps tendon and I never seen such good. Everything of else is normal, but this biceps tendon jerk, I think it was exaggerated. However, so it might be human pathology in case of that thing. Now Viva started. In Viva, now I could see that the two previous cases which were happening before me, ma'am was asking so many questions. Now their Viva went on for I think 20 to 30 minutes. The previous group who gave input, I was completely amazed. How can you ask so many questions? It's not really that difficult. It's not really that deep. I mean, it is that deep, but you don't expect an MBBS student to know that deep. And first of all, our group hasn't been taught medicine till now. We are going to be taught from the next week, like 1 week after the next week. So they had the long Viva. Another ma'am completed that group. Ma'am went to another group. They are having their very long Viva. Soon as sir came, and that sir took our Viva and ended it in 5 minutes. And the problem is, see, sir asked everything, I could answer everything. And I was feeling bad. I was expecting in my head that, okay, I have not prepared anything properly. Everything I know very superficially. CVS I know superficially. CNS I know superficially. RSP I know superficially. Okay, so I don't think I will be able to answer much. Sir, ma'am will scold me too much. I'll listen to the scolding. At least I get to learn something new. But what ended up happening was, sir came in. Sir asked 5-10 questions about the case and all. How do you elicit the jerk? Sir told me to elicit a jerk properly. Sir asked me the root values. Sir asked me how do you differentiate ischemic and hemorrhagic? What are the treatment protocols? Basically around the case. And I was answering the questions, and the problem was I was mentally prepared for getting blasted off. And since it ended in 5 minutes, I was unhappy that I didn't get blasted off. I was mentally prepared to be scolded. I was preparing that I will come to my friends and tell a story. You know, that professor is so bad. She took my Viva for such a long time. She harassed me so much. I have no story to tell, man. He came, he asked, he went. Simple. And he asked me to show liver examination. The liver examination again not shown in medicine. I studied in pediatrics again, which is the exam tomorrow, which I'll also tell what is my agenda for the day. How am I going to study that? I think I'll prepare pediatrics very well, and then I'll go for the exam. Whatever. So pediatrics I learned liver, and I showed him that examination also, and that went pretty good. And the long case was very good. I wanted it to be a bad exam. I didn't prepare that much. And this is so funny, man. So after that, all of us were taken into a room and we were told to wait over there. And after that, one by one, they called for ECG instrument and that thing. Again, ECG also. ECG I read in DAMS I think 1-2 months ago. And properly CVS I read was like 4 to 5 months ago. At the beginning of the year I read CVS properly. And the ECG changes, the myocardial infarction, or what ECG changes do you see? I haven't read from Mado properly once. My Mado modules are still remaining. I have not read from Mado properly. I am just, before the exam, just skimming through the Mado modules that this happens, this happens in this. And I looked at the DAMS modules properly, because in the morning what happened was I was reading ECG only. This I forgot to mention. Among the study which I did, I read ECG. So ECG I read from DAMS, I read from the PDFs which we had. Those were not very good. Okay, the PDFs were very bad. So I read from ECG. So I read from DAMS, and the ECG Viva went pretty well. Okay, I missed a few things. There was a time of PCI from door to stenting. There is a time. I missed that timing. Okay, the sir asked me, but I missed it. I forgot it at the moment. I still can't remember it. I have to study it again. Oh, it happens. Sometimes happens. So ECG Viva went pretty well. Okay, I could explain all of the curves. Where is the elevation happening? Where is reciprocal changes happening? I could explain all of those. Then the radiology Viva happened. So in the radiology Viva, I was given X-ray. So it was a very clear case of pleural effusion. And how do I know pleural effusion? Because I again studied respo in third year, and I completely remember all of those things. Respiratory was so well prepared in third year. I could remember a lot of. I'm telling you, I haven't read respiratory medicine in the last few days. So, but I still remember that. I could elicit that this is meniscus sign and all. This is blah blah blah. I could elicit that. Then CT was given. In CT, what was I shown? In CT, I was shown I think an ischemic stroke case, which I again explained, which was very easy. And that Viva also went, radiology Viva went pretty well. And then was instruments Viva. Instrument Viva, I completely messed up. I told the bone marrow punch and needle as lumbar punch and needle. That is where you fail, okay? That is, after that, there is no going back. Whatever, man. The needle had no, what do you call that? The needle had no guard. How could I differentiate? My assumption was bone marrow needles have guard. I should have seen it was short and stout, man. Still okay, made a mistake, very bad mistake. If I do the same mistake in MBA, I am gone for it. But again, I did not prepare for it. Okay, instrument I absolutely did not study. But if the Viva went into lumbar punch and needle going towards meningitis, then I could answer, because again I had CNS ready 3 months back. I could answer something. I had basic things ready to say, at least for the time being. But then ma'am was like, no, you can't answer this thing. At least hold this needle and tell me what is it. I told him it was an insulin syringe subcutaneously applied. Now ma'am asked me what are the other medicines applied subcutaneously. The medicines didn't strike me back then, so adrenaline happens. There are some anticoagulants also, I think, given subcutaneously. There are some medications, a lot of medications given subcutaneously, but at that moment I couldn't recollect any of those. So that went bad. Okay, that went bad. And after that there was a table for counseling the patient, and counseling means basically you have to explain the patient that this has happened, these are your risk factors, these are what you're supposed to do. A case would be given. So the case for which I was given was that I had a female, I had a patient who has celiac disease, and now you have to explain the diet plans to him. Now I didn't study celiac disease because I had not read GIT, and yeah, so I told Sir, I have not read GIT. So I was like, no, just explain to him that what happens in celiac disease. This thing I knew, that you cannot eat wheat, barley and stuff. Basically, there's something called as gluten sensitivity which happens. There was something infection against the organism. Some antibodies develop. These antibodies are same as those which are against gluten. So when gluten comes in, that is also treated as an antigen. And when it's treated as an antigen, duodenal mucosa has something which leads to damage of the duodenal mucosa, following which there is diarrhea. This was the overall passage which I remember from second. It's very bad, poor memory. I can't base an answer off of it. Okay, I just overall know the idea of it. I have to read it properly. I've still not read it, because again, medicine is going to start from 1 week after the next week. Okay, basically 2 weeks after, 1.5 weeks from now, medicine is going to start. So I didn't read it. I have left it for it. So Sir gave me this. Now I have to explain to the patient something which I do not know, which is very weird. But Sir told me tell how to not eat gluten-rich diet. No, gluten is found in wheat, barley. These things I know. But basic overall idea of the picture I have, but I haven't read it properly to explain it to somebody. Okay, I need to study that. Whatever. So what I did was I told that you cannot eat barley, you cannot eat roti, chapati and stuff. Sir was like, what are the more common things? And the things Sir told which contained gluten, I really had zero idea about it. I was very uninformed. Even Horlicks has gluten. I was so amazed. Even some sweets which we have, basically something we call as Sandesh in Bengali. Rasgulla is like proper mishti. Mishti, I mean it's sweet. Sweet, which is kind of a chana. How to explain chana right now? Chana is basically coagulated milk is chana. You process that and make it a very sweet dish. It's, if you know about Rasgulla, you will really appreciate it. And there is one kind called as Sandesh. Sandesh is basically, how do I explain it? Sandesh is basically sweet biscuit, you can consider it. If there is a combination, if there is a middle ground between Rasgulla and biscuit, that is Sandesh. And also biscuits contain this gluten. Chow mein contains this gluten. A lot of fast food that we eat contains gluten. So you have to explain to the patient that all of these things contain gluten. You cannot take that. All of these things you have to explain. So whatever sir told me, and so I was like, okay, you can go. So at least I learned something today. Okay, so I learned something. So every day you learn something. Before me there was a case. The sir was saying that suppose you're like the student who was in front of me, the counseling, he was given a case that suppose you're the medicine resident right now, you're the junior doctor available, and the patient has come with severe pleural effusion. Now since the patient had come one day ago with severe pleural effusion, there was a consultation with respiratory medicine department appointed, but the respiratory medicine department did not come due to some emergency and other causes. How do you counsel the patient? Because the patient is in a lot of distress. How do you counsel the patient? So we were hitting about here and there. I was thinking that I can myself do a pleural drain. How is it a very big deal? You can just, it's once you know, you know. Like it's not really not that difficult to put in a pleural. It's really not that difficult to put in a pleural drain or something. But sir had actually better answer. That was that we can either I can do that stuff, but if I'm not feeling that confident about it, I can explain to the patient that we can either wait for it or we can arrange for an emergency pleural drain. How would we do that in the absence of a how would we do that in the absence of a respiratory medicine department? We can just give a call to the respiratory medicine. We can speak on the phone. I can speak to the doctor on the phone that this is the condition. The patient is deteriorating. How do we proceed with this? Can we proceed to the surgery department with this? So we can send the department to the OT. We can send the patient to the OT, and surgeons would put in an emergency pleural catheter, and that would solve it. So involving this department of surgery in this thing, it didn't really strike my mind. It's so obvious. Once you hear it, the answer is very obvious, but it just didn't come to my mind. Okay, you can also tell surgeons about it. You can just put a call, because everybody can put a pleural drain. Okay, every surgeon can put it. Actually, it's very easy to put in a pleural drain. Actually, the thing is, surgeon already put in drain here and there across the body, so it's not really difficult for them to put in a pleural drain. It's very easy for them. So yeah, the thing that actually strikes me, it's so very obvious for the people who are working in the wards, but it's not so obvious for me. So it was very interesting. So here is the current status of the medicine. I would overall say that medicine exam really went better than what I expected. I didn't expect it to go this well. See, the things I messed up, I know, because I did not know them. But the things I had read months back, things I read today in the morning, those were so crystal clear to me. Those were so, I could recall them so effectively. I am myself impressed with myself. So I think if I had put in more effort, maybe I could have got more, but I needed the sleep the last night, because today I will actually push it. And what are the things which I have to do regarding that? So I think you have seen how I showed my schedule, what I had to do, what after what, in another app which was Focus Today. But the problem was that Focus Today was I had run out of the but in Focus Today what has happened? But in Focus Today, what has happened is that I have run out of the free projects that you can set in Focus Today. So I had to go in with topic. So I found out another app which is basically Tick. Okay, and that app has actually the best of the features in its premium model. And I found the premium model without paying the prices. Don't tell anybody about this, otherwise I can be arrested, because that is actually very costly. I am a student, I don't earn anything. So I live on scholarship money. And that is, I live on the edge on scholarship money. It barely suffices my food costs and all. Lodging though we will pay for my household money or internship money, but the food costs are barely sufficed by my scholarship money. So if that is also taken away, I'm gone. So please don't tell anybody about it. That I found this app Tick, and I'll show you right now what I am planning to do. So here you can see that why are these things coming. This is the Pomodoro method which I was thinking about, and you can see that this is the time I have probably focused. Okay, this has been paused, not focused. Okay, and this is where you can set whether which one is urgent, which one is emergency, and like for a better for a better planning, that these are the things which are urgent. Why are these things placed are not urgent, man? It's really urgent. Whatever. So let's look at what are the things. You can also put the things in calendar, and this is where I have planned everything. So these are the pediatric practicals. Under pediatric practicals, you can probably say I have noted down what I need to do, like read guidelines, flowchart, doses. Here you can see in the long cases what I need to study, read cases from here and there, blah 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 blah. What I think. So these 5 cases are really very up till pneumonia. These cases are very important to read. So I have basically made lists of what I need to do, and as I keep on going, I'll just strike them off. So right now I need to get back to my studying. I hope this would be fruitful, so that is what I can hope for. So let's hope for the best. So today is 25th October, 1:49 a.m. is right now the time. So basically, after the video in which you saw me getting frustrated because I couldn't finish my syllabus, and this is currently right now my video after I gave the exam, and a lot of time has gone, so I'll explain it properly. So yes, I couldn't explain those things properly, but these are the things which I still had left. I think it's important to show it to you guys. Things I still have left. These are the things which I still had left. OSPI card. It was a 51-page PDF I still had left. Short case I had to study. Hand washing I didn't study. Neonatology examination I didn't study. It was left. Neonatology itself is a module which I had remaining till then. Quest topics, a lot of topics were remaining. I had to read developmental milestone, marrow, lesser modules were there. Although some of these models I had read hypothermia, hyperglycemia, these a few jaundice I had read from marrow. Some of the marrow, like this was around 8 modules. Out of 8 modules I had read probably 3 or 4, but not all of them. Pediatric instruments, all were left. It was around 3 or 4 PDFs. Pediatric drugs, associated viva, I didn't read anything. Long cases, and long cases there were a lot. Pleural effusion, nephrotic, thalassemia, VSD. Before going, I could read, I think, only pleural. Did I even read pleural effusion? I just started reading something of Walry. It was basically pneumonia, actually. It was pneumonia. I didn't read diarrhea, VSD, thalassemia, nephrotic, pleural. A lot of things were left. Examination. I'm just showing this for telling you the amount of syllabus which I left before the exam. Examination general, Audukunda I did not read. GIT I did not read. CVS I did not read. I read Respo. Okay, Respo I had done, and long cases Respo I had done. Problem card, there is a PDF I didn't read. Anthropometry, I have made a PDF myself, I didn't read. So there was a lot remaining to be read. Okay, so what happened during the exam? So basically I went to the morning. I was completely prepared myself to have a very bad viva. So I was assigned my long case first. No, first we went in for OSCE, the practical, objective structured practical examination. They call it OSCE for some very weird reason. I do not know what is clinical about looking at some slides and writing down the answers, but they call it OSCE. So we went to our OSCE, and 3 questions were there, 5 parts each. So I got, I think, out of those 15 questions, I got, I think, 1, 2, 3 total wrong. Okay, and out of those 3, 1 I was correct, with sir is telling it's wrong. There is basically when the head circumference crosses the chest circumference. I think I read it in the book as 1 year. I have also written 1 year, but the answer which sir gave was 9 months. And I haven't actually rechecked back in the book what is the real answer. I should have actually rechecked before making this video. It's okay. Sir said 9 months. I said 1 year, and that number is going to be deducted. And also there was something about what is Eisenmenger syndrome. So Eisenmenger syndrome is basically where you have a kind of a heart defect. Basically, the patient is initially acyanotic. Now, what happened? Acyanotic means basically you have no kind of sinus, no bluing out of the in various areas of the body. By bluing, it means basically you have less oxygen in that area. So it's basically a heart disease which goes from a acyanotic one, basically where there is no bluishness across the body, to a heart disease which has bluishness across the body. How does it happen? It's basically because of a shunt which happens in the ventricle, as a result of which blood goes in from the left ventricle to the right ventricle. From the right ventricle, the blood goes into the lungs, and from the lungs it gets some oxygenation, and hence the cyanosis does not happen. If this transfer of blood which happens from the left ventricle to the right ventricle stops for some reason, because the heart has other defects also, the blood is not properly filtering out from the left ventricle or something. So if that thing stops, then what happens is that if blood stops flowing from left ventricle to right ventricle, then the blood flowing out of the right ventricle, which is actually flowing into the lungs, and from the lungs it is flowing into the other parts of the body, other oxygenated blood is flowing, that would stop. And why would that stop? That is because of persistent pulmonary artery hypertension. Now, I did not know this stuff. I knew that this was stopping. Why would the blood flow stop from left ventricle to right ventricle? Because left ventricle is anyways powerful. The only condition in which the blood will stop flowing is if right ventricle is more powerful than left ventricle, right? That is the only condition. That is the way right ventricle can overpower the pressure and the blood will flow into the left ventricle. And that was my assumption. So I wrote it's acyanotic heart disease converting into cyanotic heart disease due to compensatory right ventricular hypertrophy. Now the right ventricular hypertrophy is happening as a compensatory response to the persistent pulmonary arterial hypertension, but the blood flow which is stopping is not due to the right ventricular hypertrophy. It is because of the persistent pulmonary hypertension which is increasing the right ventricular pressure. As a result of that, the blood flow is stopping from the left ventricle to the right ventricle, not because of the right ventricular hypertrophy. The right ventricular hypertrophy is a finding in it. It's a compensatory change in it, but the blood flow stops because of the persistent pulmonary arterial hypertension, which increases the right ventricular pressure, which becomes greater than the left ventricular pressure, as a result of which the blood stops flowing from the left ventricle to the right ventricle. This is the main crux of it, but I did not know it while giving the exam, so I wrote it wrong. I just knew it was right ventricular hypertrophy only. So that question I got wrong, and I got, I think, 1 or 2 more questions. Yeah, there was something of the boot-shaped heart. They gave it a new name, something Salue boot something. It was an Italian or Spanish something name, which was boot-shaped heart is seen in tetralogy of Fallot. This thing I knew, but what the name which they gave on it, which is basically an X-ray finding. Okay, but the name which they gave was, I did not know about that. So that was another question which I lost. Overall, I think I got 3 or 4 questions wrong. The rest 10, 11 are at least correct. That was OSPI. So with respect to the fact that I said that I did not read OSPI card, I think that's pretty good. I did not read some things, but out of the things that I did not read, the 10 out of 15 is pretty good number. I believe, at least. I'm not sure about the rest, what you would believe or not. Then what happened was that after OSPI was finished, we were taken in for the long case. Long case is basically where you are assigned a case. You have to take the history of the case, what has happened with the patient, and you have to diagnose the case. Provisional diagnosis mainly. So a lottery happens. Okay, you have to pick up slots. You have to pick up which patient you're getting, and by lottery I was assigned a patient with Piyush. Piyush is basically a kind of topper in our class. Okay, he studies too much. Now the problem with doing a viva in this kind of a setting is you always wish for a partner who knows either equal to you or less than you. Okay, but again, this was pediatrics. I knew I was going to be ill today because I couldn't complete the syllabus. So when I'm being paired with Piyush, I know that dude is going to just completely blast off all the topics, okay, because he has studied everything and I studied nothing. So there's going to be a gross gap in the knowledge. So when the viva starts, when seeing that Piyush is answering and I'm not answering, so my marks will drastically reduce. I don't know how they actually grade it. It might also be that it really doesn't matter if you still can't answer. If you have a partner who can't answer that well, and you are still not answering, and that partner is also not answering that well, both of you are answering averagely. Maybe both of you get average marks. But I really do not know how those people grade the students. But still, it's my assumption that if you get paired with a really highly studying student, then because that student's marks has a maximum limit to be reached, your marks as the partner of the student get decreased. This is my assumption. Might not be true. So in my head, I was thinking that, okay, today I am gone. But whatever, man, Piyush really cooperated very well in the sense that we took our history in very less amount of time and he took some majorly important points which I missed. And the reason for missing it is, again, I did not read case history. So I had forgotten the format. But again, he forgot something which I remembered. I forgot something which he remembered. And that history taking went pretty smooth. It was smooth to an extent that suppose I am checking the vitals. So I am telling him that, bro, you write the vitals right now. I am telling you constantly, you write the vitals. He was writing the vitals. I was checking the vitals. He was writing the vitals. In the meanwhile, while I was writing the general examination, like you write vitals and then you write general examination. When I was writing general examination, he was doing the general examination. In the meantime, I copied his vitals. And as he was saying the general examination, I copied the general examination. So it saved us a lot of time because the writing and examination was going parallelly. And I think that really saved us a lot of time and gave us to study some theory regarding the topic. It was a case of pneumonia, and we were thinking about what questions could be asked. So we figured out all of the things. Sir took the long case, and man, it went pretty well. In fact, I was amazed. All the things that I could remember, man, it was so good. And pneumonia, I read from Marrow just while I was taking the case. After taking the case, I opened the Marrow app and then I studied through the entire thing of pneumonia. The worst thing I felt about that app was that it was not complete, man. Pneumonia treatment, it was okay, but I expected more out of it. Okay, it was present, but I think it needed more, because I had read this topic in various other subjects. Like, it was in medicine somewhat, it was in community medicine somewhat, and combining all of those, I have a combined knowledge, and that is the reason. That is what you will see again repeated, that what I have answered today has not been from what I read the previous night. It has been majorly from topics which I read 1 month earlier, 3 months earlier, and I was today absolutely amazed how I could remember those and present it in front of the examiner. I was amazed at my capabilities. I did not expect it to go that well, and really longest well, pretty well, to an extent that sir was saying, okay, I understand you know these things, but do not utter this in front of the examiner, because you know I know. But if you say these things, because all of your knowledge is very vast but superficial, what will happen is that the examiner has deep knowledge in all of the things that you're saying. So he will take this one rare disease that you have told about, and he'll go deep into that. For example, sir asked the cause of pneumonia. So I was enumerating the cause: Staphylococcus, Streptococcus, Klebsiella, E. coli. And then we go into viruses: respiratory syncytial virus, paramyxovirus. Paramyxovirus doesn't cause that. Mumps it mainly causes. However, respiratory syncytial virus mainly. And then I went into fungus. When he said fungus, it could have been aspergillus, but I also said, I forgot to say aspergillus at that moment. I would have said, but before that, I said pneumocystis cerevisiae in HIV patients. So then sir started that once you utter this word HIV patients, a lot of things will come into play, like how mother-child transmission. Does mother have history of HIV? Because how does a 11-year-old child have HIV? It's very weird. And 11-year-old male has HIV. Man, doesn't make any sense. I don't think he has erection also. Doesn't make really any sense. However, so it has to be from mother to child. And if mother to child happens, what are the medications which will prevent that? I think it was nevirapine, if I'm not wrong, which prevents mother to child transmission. Do you do breastfeeding in HIV positive patients? I think you do breastfeeding in HIV positive patients, but on heart therapy, which is basically highly active antiretroviral therapy. And in case of the child, what treatment do you start? What are the NACO regimens that you've seen? What are the NACO guidelines? A lot of things will come, which I do not know actually, not in depth. I like the things which I'm saying. These are very superficial. I've read something in micro, I've read something in pharma, and these are very all superficial knowledge. You can't base your viva off of it. Okay, it's very it's very stupid to make that a base. However, so sir was really impressed with that, and sir told us to show the examination, and both of us did examination very well. And I was thinking that if I did not attend the clinical posting classes of pediatrics, man, I would have been done for, completely done for. The fact that I did not read anything of examination yesterday night, and I still could do those examination with almost 95% accuracy, was amazing. In fact, Piyush did some of the mistakes which I had to, which sir told me to correct. That what are the things which he's missing. He was missing a very basic thing. Okay, he was just missing folding of the first. You have to check for superficial tenderness. Okay, while you're doing deep palpation, any kind of deep palpation. You're told liver palpation, spleen palpation, find out renal angle tenderness. Any kind of deep palpation, you have to first rule out superficial tenderness, and that you do by keeping the waist straight. Okay, but if you're doing deep palpation, then you have to flex the leg so that the superior rectus muscles get relaxed. And so ask these also, why are we doing flexion of the legs and things? And then how do you measure liver? What are the things that you describe the liver with? And I was almost half forgetting the things, and those things which I forgot, Piyush answered. Piyush forgot, I answered. So it went back and forth. It was like not like he's a topper, so he's answering everything and I'm just sitting like a duck. It didn't happen, and that is why I was so impressed with myself. It's not like I read that thing the previous night. Piyush sounded like he read that thing the previous night, but I did not, because I know I did not, and I was remembering things back from the clinical examinations which we did, like the surface of the liver, the margin of the liver, in what conditions the liver would be soft, in what is the normal condition of the liver, how do you measure the liver span, these things. And I was amazed with myself, man. Longest went so well, and that was nice. And after that, the longest went pretty well. Like our Viva was almost, I think, a total of 25 to 30 minutes. And other groups of people who were also had their cases were really concerned about us. Why is sir taking Viva for so long? One thing I observed is that if teachers find your answers, I think, attractive, or interesting, they will take your Viva for a long time. Again, which brings me back to I was disappointed with taking 5 minutes Viva when I expected ma'am to take a very long Viva. Whatever, in medicine, okay, I'm talking about in medicine. So in pediatrics, I gave the long case Viva. I was pretty happy with my like the examination, the way we presented history, and history sir went a lot into general examination history and stuff. And one thing was I felt very weird. Sir said that why have you written these things in antenatal history? Why have you written so much in these history, that history? Now sir is saying that that's not relevant. I also know that's not relevant. When I and Piyush were writing, we also discussed that thing, that I don't think these are relevant, but these are points which are given in the performance. These are points which some professor tell. Now the problem is, if you write those points and a professor comes and tell you what is the significance of this, you can say that sir, this is not significant, but we were told to write, hence we were writing, but otherwise there is no point of writing it. But if you do not write and a professor comes up and calls you out for it, even if it's not required, then he'll say that you have not written because you do not know it. And the person who will say that you need to write this obviously has some logic for it. It's not saying just write the format or something. He has some logic for it, and he will give the logic, and he will tell that since you do not know the logic, since you have not written it, I'll assume that you do not know about it, and hence I'll deduct marks. So I think it's better to be safe than sorry in this case. So even next time it happens, sir told us to write less, but I'll not do that. I'll write more. Okay, there is no point. We can just tell him that we have seen this, but these are not relevant. Okay, we can tell that. On the other side, the patient which we had, the patient was really cooperative, and in fact towards the end of the Viva, what happened was that towards the end of the examination, what happened was that we had completed an examination, were writing the details, and we did not have a lot of time because I think we were already 5 minutes late behind time. Sir came 30 minutes late. That's a different issue altogether. But we knew that we were running behind time 5 minutes, so we were writing in full force, and my measuring tape, BP machine, stethoscope were all sitting on the bed of the patient, and I did not care about that. I was just writing. So I was writing, and suddenly the patient pokes me, like the 11-year male kid pokes me and gives me the entire measuring tape rolled up beautifully. It was so cute to me. I can't explain it. Like, see, it's not like I can't do it. I can also do it, but the patient rolling it up for me and giving it to me, I felt very, happy about it. And then I was like, okay, I put it in my pocket. BP machine is this, stethoscope is that. I was again writing. Bro, again rolled up the BP machine, put it inside and rolled it in the roll, and then gave it to me. Here is your roll of BP machine. BP machine is the wrong term. Sphygmomanometer is a better term, but for practicality purpose, I'll say BP machine. He gave it and rolled it up. Again, here in this BP machine also there is an interesting thing. So generally in pediatric ward, if you have to measure BP, you have to check the cuff, how much the cuff is overlapping. So cuff completely overlapped. Okay, and from there we understood that okay, we are measuring BP properly. Now the BP which I was getting was, I think it was 92/70. Okay, 98/9. No, it was 92/70. Now I was really concerned a bit that 92/70 is not a very common BP that we pulse pressure of only 20 and 90 as the upper thing, and 70 is the lower thing. It sounded very close to hypovolemia rather, but I was thinking about adult patients. I just thought that it was pediatric patients. Pediatric patients have a different kind of BP graph, and they have other charts where they have to plot according to age, according to gender, how much BP they will have. But there's a specific formula for it, okay, just to estimate that, and we did not know that. So we were thinking that maybe our calculation is wrong. So 92/70, what we have got is wrong. So what we did was we wrote the BP, manipulated to 104/70. Okay, this was what we did. So it's normal in according to adult values, but according to pediatric values, what came out from the formula, the BP what we measured was actually hypertension. Now we are lucky sir did not do the examination again, because if he did the examination, he would understand we had lied, because it was a very gross difference. 102 goes into hypertension. We are saying 92. It's a 10 millimeter age difference. It's not very likely that you are clinically missing that. If you are clinically missing that, then you should upgrade your skills. Okay. So we are lucky sir did not check that, because it went from normotensive to hypertensive, because we assumed that the patient was going hypotensive. So we corrected it and we overcorrected it, but we did not know what. Now we will remember about it. Sir told us to memorize the values of weight, height, formulae. We will have to memorize it for the MB or for the next sem, but and that's really difficult. I didn't read anthropometry also, as I told you. I didn't read anthropometry. So our long case was done. I went back happy that okay, my long case has gone good. Now what about the rest? For the rest, I know I'll be slandered again because I didn't read. After that, I had to go in for neonatal resuscitation program. But no, I had to study instruments because neonatal resuscitation program is still new something. But instruments I knew nothing. And instruments, I told you that instruments I didn't study. So there were 3 PDFs, and we had it in the Google Drive. I was opening the Google Drive. Munji ma'am came, looked at me. You have instruments left, right? Okay, I have no student sitting with me. Come right now. Ma'am took me to do the instruments viva. Man, I haven't read instruments. I haven't read drugs, anything, pediatrics. And that is where I thought that I'm gone. But no, ma'am gave me a spacer and a mask, and the viva went pretty good after that. Ma'am asked what are the uses of it, how do you clean it. These things I knew already. What is the use of the mask? What do you call it? And then ma'am gave out an ampule of something. I don't remember the drug, but ampule of sodium bicarbonate. So she asked that what is this used for. So I knew it was used to correct hyponatremia. Sometimes it was used for excretion of drugs which are basic in nature. So these are some things which I already know, and I told ma'am was very happy. It was used for correcting acidosis sometimes. The ma'am was very happy. Another, I think I was given a vial of something. It contained a vial of, I don't remember the exact drug, but it contained a vial. And again, ma'am asked the uses, and I knew the uses. It was from pharmacology, and I was again impressed with myself. Man, I did not read these things, and still I know the answers to it. I can't be more happy than that, man. I'm like, ma'am is believing that I am a student who has studied for the exam. Ma'am is saying, okay, you have study more for the exam next time. And I'm also like, yes, ma'am, I'll study more for the exam. Yes, ma'am. Like I have studied a lot the previous night, and this has gone too well. Okay, instrument and drugs vibe also went well. I'm so impressed. Like, see, ma'am took me at the moment when I was about to start to studying the PDF, but that didn't happen. So, but neonatology, I had time. So, neonatology practical, I had time. So, I decided that I'll study and go. And I looked at the classification scoring system, and then I went to our neonatology. And our EJD sir was taking the exam. And that also went pretty well. The things which sir asked, how do you differentiate a preterm, term, how do you differentiate pathological neonatal, pathological, physiological jaundice, what are the possible complications of preterm baby. And he went again, all the complications I was mentioning, he was going deeper into those complications. How do we identify hypothermia, how does it control, what are the physiological protections against it. And then sir went into brown fat again, where are brown fat found. And man, I remembered all of those things properly. And that also reason because I read hypothermia and these things the previous night also. That was a additional thing, but man, I could even neonatology viva went well. Just imagine how the things are flowing. So I started the day with being completely frustrated with myself that I have read nothing of pediatrics. Like, I have read something of pediatrics, but it's not overall effective. And then I am already into the day so much. The long case went well, the instrument viva went well, the drugs viva went well, neonatology viva went well. What more do you need? And then then we had the neonatal resuscitation program viva, and then we had the X-ray and problem card viva. So in the neonatal resuscitation viva, I again started reading. I completed reading. I was like, okay, let's get this done. So I went, because see, I knew I had studied more than the rest of my friends regarding neonatal resuscitation program. Yesterday night, I wasted around, I think, 2 to 3 hours at least reading neonatal resuscitation program. So I know more than those guys. Okay, my knowledge is comparable to GHI. What is written in GHI is all the standard textbook of pediatrics for Indian students. Okay, not for Nelson and something for international students. But MBBS students read GHI, ObGy. So I read from almost there also, and I was fairly confident I could answer all those questions. I could answer those, but the problem is I started so bad. And it's not because I do not know the answers or something. I was forgetting stuff. I was forgetting the order and stuff. And because ma'am was asking the questions like that only, the questions which ma'am were asking were very specific. And those things were not written in the PDFs. It was not written in the Mado PDFs. We have to read what is written in what our classes have been taught. The problem is we haven't been taught in a resuscitation program. We will be taught after 1 month. We have a class on that. I think it's 1 month or 2 months we have a class on that. Pediatrics has a practical class on neonatal resuscitation program, but that is later in the year. We haven't been taught anything. I don't know why ma'am is not understanding this, but we haven't been taught this. What I am answering, I have watched previous year videos, previous year examination videos, when the previous year teachers used to teach them neonatal resuscitation program. I have watched videos from there. I have read texts from there. I have read notes from there. After that also, when ma'am is asking, I could answer a lot. I could answer a lot more than the rest of my friends. But some of the questions which ma'am asked, I was like completely dazed. And some of the times which ma'am was handing, ma'am asked me the full form of ambu bag. Okay, there is a basically puchuk bag which attaches to a mask. Basically, self-inflating bag. It's bag and mask ventilation, we call it, to provide oxygenation to the lungs. It's a simple method. Okay, it's better than putting in an ET tube. I mean, in conditions that it actually works. If it does not work, ambu bag, then you obviously have to put in ET tube. If ET tube does not work, you have to put a tracheostomy tube. These are the things which I were told. But today, when ma'am asked that what are the things which you need for these things, then I said tracheostomy tube in the set, but ma'am said no, you do not put a tracheostomy set in those things. So it was written in the thing. So I told ma'am, but ma'am was like no. Ma'am asked the entire set what is required for neonatal resuscitation program. So I told what I had to say, and then ma'am was giving other questions only. She said that what is the condition required in the labor room for neonatal resuscitation program to take place. Man, we were never told these things. Nobody told us these things. We had an ops posting for 2 months, man. Nobody told us these things. Ma'am told us, what are you looking for as a pediatrician in the labor room? Nobody told us these things. It's not in ObGy. The only thing I know is that we are looking for the cry. We are looking if the baby is dead or not. We are looking if the meconium is stained or not. Nothing else. I knew this only. So I guess they will take a class on neonatal resuscitation program properly, and then we'll get to know all these stuff. And I could still say a lot of those things, that there would be no cross ventilation, there would be windows would be closed, AC would be on, and there would be temperature range 25 to something. And I thought that, and how, for how long do you turn on the radiant warmer? That 30 minutes before the delivery you turn on the radiant warmer, before the delivery happens basically. So that, and you keep the towels in it, the towels in which you wrap the baby, you keep the towels in the radiant warmer so that it's also warm by the time the baby is put in it. How do you clean the baby? How do you dry the baby? So these things I already knew. We had to start from the head because it has the highest surface area. So once you clear this, a lot of the body is actually dry. Then you go downwards. This is what the format is. So these things I knew. I could answer a lot more questions than the rest of my friends. But again, it was not all of the questions. So again, this went okay. But this was good with respect to the rest of my friends. Again, see. But neonatal resuscitation program I read. So I knew it was going to be good. After that, it was problem cards and X-ray. Now, X-ray, I didn't read. But I had this confidence in X-ray that since my respiratory medicine was so good, I could identify chest X-ray. Okay, I could do the basic stuff. So, there was a case of rickets. There was basically, you see fraying in the joints, and you see loss of cortical thickness in the bones. And I told ma'am that, now ma'am, tell what is the supplementation you give. So obviously vitamin D3 calcium supplementation. And then ma'am asked the dose. And dose I forgot, man. Dose I could not remember. So yeah, what else could we do regarding that? So I said, the ma'am said that you have to learn the dose because it's really important. Then ma'am showed another X-ray. It was of miliary tuberculosis. Then that was also very. Ma'am asked what are the treatments regarding it. How do you identify it? How do you diagnose it? So this was interesting. I learned something new today. How do you diagnose miliary TB in a child, a 4-year-old child who will not cough? You give them expectorant, still they will not cough. So how do you diagnose them? So what happens is basically what children do is they swallow their own sputum. Constantly they swallow their own sputum. So what happens is that they do a gastric lavage. Since they're swallowing the sputum, some of it is available inside the stomach. So they swallow the sputum, they take it from the stomach, and then they do the CB nat on it. From there they find out whether it has TB, but it's very low sensitivity. So I suggested doing PCR from the blood only. It was checking for adenosine Da minus, but yeah, ma'am was partially happy. It's not like that she was sad that I was saying something wrong. Ma'am knew I was saying it correct only, but again. Then there was a case of thymus. So it was an absolutely normal X-ray. Okay, it was a thymus gland, a calcified thymus gland. and it's called as a sales sign. Okay, we was shown this in class, this just missed my brain, man. I remember that this is nothing pathological, but I couldn't exactly remember that thymus thing. It completely went out of my mind. I read that the previous night, but it went out of my mind. Okay, mistakes. What can we do regarding that? So X-ray Viva went also okay. Then we went in for problem cards. I don't remember what problem card was given. Okay, yeah, I was given a problem card of. Uh, I was given a problem card of physiological jaundice arising from hemolytic anemia as a result of RH incompatibility. So, ma'am asked me, why do you say this? Explained it, because there was Coombe test positive, there was RH incompatibility. We could see the blood groups and we could see hemolytic cells and all. We could see this. How do you treat this? This was also the question. So, I went in the wrong way. I went in for replacing those hemoglobins and stuff. RBCs and stuff, because those were hemolyzed. I went for NTD because mother has RH incompatibility. But I missed the major important point was that bilirubin was 14. You have to first correct that. So first you have to go in for phototherapy. If phototherapy doesn't work, there is a nomogram. You look at the nomogram and then you go in for phototherapy. If it doesn't work, then you go in for double volume exchange transfusion. Ma'am asked me how much is the double volume exchange transfusion. I forgot it at that moment and I still can't remember it right now. I remember it right now. It's probably 360 ml per kg of human body. So it's basically blood is 160 ml per kg, and the volume which you exchange in the transfusion is double of that. So it's 360 ml. I might be wrong over here. If I'm wrong, I'll correct it in the editing. Okay, this thing went. There was ma'am handed me over another card of cards. Ma'am handed me another problem card that was of thalassemia. Thalassemia also, she asked me the management. She asked me how to identify iron overload and all. What will you check? If there are iron toxicities, then how will you manage that? So these I also said. So the overall it went very okay. It was not good. Okay, I was forgetting some of the things I could. The iron chilters I couldn't properly remember the name. It was something deferoxamine and defapirox. It was something injectable was defapirox, and the oral drug's name I forgot. It was some desofiroxamine, something like that. I still cannot remember the drug's name. I'll look it up. But the rest of the treatment modality, investigations, I said it absolutely properly. So that was the end of my biopediatrics, and I was thinking, I was so frustrated in the morning that I studied the entire night and still I would get it bad today. Still I would not be able to perform today. And my frustration was logical, but the result which I had was more than what I expected. It's not the result, but my experience of the exam was more than what I expected. I really expected it to be bad. In fact, the exam went good to such an extent. The HOD who was taking a neonatology examination, he said to me that yes, I am asking you some difficult questions because you are already answering very good. Now these are said to the people who are actually toppers of the batch, okay, and then you are asked those weird questions, and I still could answer those weird questions also, which was like, ये तो मजा ही आ गया. I was very happy after that. And then sir said that you have studied good, but you have to really study more regarding. I want you to study more. So I take that from today. That yes, I had studied the previous night. It wasn't really that effective, but I have to study more. I have to study a lot more. And what I've observed regarding yesterday's night was that I have to become more efficient in doing what I want to do. There are particular set hours which my brain functions properly, and also in the upcoming days a lot of routine changes would happen. So I have to really print out the calendar and mark out the schedule, what routine I want for how many weeks, and how am I planning to plan it up. So let's see how it goes. But for now, today went pretty well, man. It went better than what I expected. So yeah, tomorrow I'm going to the ortho department basically to convince them that we have only 1 week of ortho. Please teach us everything that is required. Otherwise, there is 1 month of ortho. We have compressed it down into 1 week so that we can finish all the clinical postings before 2 weeks before the semester examination, so that we can give the next semester as complete MD, and we have no remaining classes after the second sem. So we have to also figure out what are the things that is actually required, and then who will take those classes, how many. I think there are 2 holidays in the next week also. So how do we figure that thing out? That also I need to clean up my room. since the exam has ended, I'll clean up my room also. And tomorrow is I think Dana will come to Kolkata or Kolani, so that will also give me some time. And I wish to complete ortho by Sunday, because by Monday we will start our ortho posting. So I wish to complete ortho by Sunday only. And also there was, in fact, if you remember, there is a remaining video of rheumatology, that gout wala video which I said. I'll complete that gout wala video. I'll complete ortho, and ortho I read in the previous year also. So I think it will take me less time, I believe, and I will probably also be able to solve some MCQs and question banks. So let's see how it goes. Okay. So good night for now.